Hello, welcome to Slow Flow to Yin. I apologize for the delay, a little technical trouble. And we're going to get started. Either upright in Sukhasana, comfortable seated pose, or if you'd rather get started on your back in Supta Baddha Konasana, that's okay too. I'm recommending a blanket, some blocks, and a bolster too. Here for about an hour. Slow flow, and then into Yin. And if you're getting started in Sukhasana, and you're sitting on the edge of the blanket to help tilt the pelvis a little bit higher than the knees. And then you're relaxing the shoulders down the back. The palms can be down on the thighs to feel more grounded. Or palms up to gather in more energy. If you're on your back in Sukhasana, you could use your blocks underneath the thighs. The soles of the feet are together. And the palms could be on the belly to listen to the breath. Maybe little goalpost arms. You're reaching for opposite elbows. Whether you're upright or on your back, bringing the eyes to a close. And turning your attention to your breath. And as we begin to stop and turn within, you might notice everything that you brought with you today, maybe plans for later, or memories from earlier in the day. Seeing if you can set those aside for the next hour or so. If not, that's okay too. They can hang out here with you. But either way, slowly steering your attention to your breath. Just noticing how you're breathing on a Saturday morning. Noticing your inhale. Noticing your exhale. And if your mind begins to wander away, which it will, that's what it likes to do, just gently bring it back to your breath. Breathing in, you might say to yourself, I am breathing in. And breathing out, you might say to yourself, I am breathing out. And while you're here, paying attention to your breath, seeing if you can simultaneously expand your awareness to include your entire physical form. So just giving yourself a little bit of a body scan from the head to the toes. And noticing any sensations in the body. Any slight aches or pains you might have going on, or maybe just the feeling of your clothes and your skin. Just noticing and acknowledging everything that's going on in our physical form this morning. without judgment. And just letting the sensations in the body, along with the awareness of your breath, and just tying those two things together to help ground you and anchor you here in your practice today. And taking a moment here to set your intention. Maybe perhaps setting a dedication to someone or something throughout your efforts and energy. Maybe there's something you'd want to let go of, something you'd like to gain from your practice. Once your intention or dedication's been set, just bring the right palm to the heart and left palm on top of the right hand. And we'll just take a deep conscious inhale through the nose. And a deep conscious exhale through the mouth. A deep inhale through the nose. Another deep exhale through the mouth. And fluttering the eyes open, they're closed. Maybe you're still upright in Sukhasana, slowly coming down onto your back. If you're on your back, just slowly drawing the knees in the torso. Just Papanasana, just rocking side to side a little bit. Giving those kidneys a little bit of a massage. Stop your rocking. We'll lengthen that left leg out. We'll just shift a little bit over to the right. Draw that right knee over the left. Either looking up to the ceiling or maybe looking to the right if it doesn't bother your neck. Keeping this right shoulder grounded if you can. Just taking a little gentle twist here. Noticing how the pose affects the breath. And on your next inhale, coming back to the center. Evening things out. We'll lengthen that right leg. Take the hips over to the left. And drop that left knee over to the right. Give yourself a little self-assist with your right hand, keeping that left shoulder grounded. You can look up at the ceiling, or you can look over to your left thumb. Just breathing here. Inhale, unravel, let go. Taking the spine back out, even it out. And roll the knees in. And just gently rocking to the left and the right. And we're just going to roll over to the left. Just come up to hands and knees. Get a position. You're welcome to pad the knees with that blanket if you like. You do want the knees to be below the hips, the wrists below the shoulders. And then just finding some organic movement here. So it could just be some cats and cows. It could be some figure eights. Maybe lingering on one side longer than the other. Just waking up all the nooks and crannies of the spine, the neck. Listening to how your body wants to wake up today. And then ultimately you'll find some stillness. We're just going to take the knees out to the edge of the mat. Bring the big toes together. And shift the hips back to the heels. And just finding your way back to the child's pose. Resting here. In child's pose. This is a great place to go if at any point during the Vinyasa portion of the class that you've done too many down dogs. I don't think we'll do too many down dogs today, but you can always rest in child's pose. You don't need permission. Just surrendering here and listening to the breath. Inhale. Maybe space the hands out a little more. Come back up. Hands and knees. Walk the hands forward a little bit. Bend the elbows. Bring forward. Have chaturanga. Lowering to the belly. Just lifting up. First Bhujangasana of the practice. Cobra pose. And exhale. Just taking it back. Rewinding it back to child's pose. Resting here. So we're going to curl the toes under. Really press into the thumb and the first finger. Lift the knees off the ground. On your way to your first downward dog of the practice. And then just checking in with the distance between your hands and your feet. If you feel inspired to readjust that, if it doesn't feel just right, you can always come forward for a moment to plank. See if that inspires you to change the distance between your hands and your feet and coming back. And then taking your downward dog for a walk. Pedaling your feet. And then finding some stillness. Even in stillness, there's movement. Reaching the heels to the ground, they may never get there. Reaching the torso to the thighs, they may never get there. You're internally rotating the lower arms and externally rotating the upper arms. And we're just going to begin to take little baby steps forward. Mindfully. Finding your way to the top of your mat. And Uttanasana, standing forward fold. Your arms, you can hang like a rag doll. Give me your opposite elbows here. Interlace the hands behind your back. Just Good if you've been working on your computer all day. Otherwise, just hanging forward. I'm just beginning to sway a little bit from side to side. And then stop the swaying. Letting go of the elbow. We'll bend the knees and begin to step vertebra on top of vertebra. Slowly unfurling the spine. We have to mountain pose. This mountain pose, we'll just play with one balancing pose here. Tree pose. And tree could be a baby tree. It could be a teenager tree or a full-grown tree. Begin by first pouring our weight into our left foot. Once you feel grounded in that root, and just bring that opposite knee up. Stork, you can also hang out here. Maybe finding a little baby tree, kickstand tree. Bring the hands to the heart. Maybe the tree blossoms up. Breathing here. You also have that foot on your calf, thigh. Just want to avoid the knee. If you fall out of your tree, you can climb back up. Breathing here. On your next exhale, hands come back down. Knee comes back up for a moment. And down. I'm just shaking up your root. And we'll play with that on the other side. So again, pouring your weight into your left root, the opposite foot, and the opposite knee comes up. Open up the hip. And finding a good place for the foot. There should be a little kickstand, a little baby tree. Hands come to the heart. And then maybe find some chlorophyll. Listening what your body wants to do today. Finding your edge. Hang out here for a couple of breaths. And exhaling the hands back down to the heart. Coming back up for a moment. Stork. Back down. Foot, shaking up your root. And then we're just going to walk the feet out a little bit. And slowly sink down. Finding Malasana. Yogic squat. With yogic squat, you can have your heels on a blanket if it doesn't feel accessible without. You can also use some blocks. Just breathing here. And slowly, gracefully, bending your way back down onto the mat, your bum. You take that blanket. Hands and knees again. Lifting up. Downward facing dog. We'll inhale, reach that right leg up and back. Bend the knee. Lifting up the hip. Exhaling. Bring it back down. Inhale. Lift that left leg up. Bending the knee. Opening up the hip. Bring it back down. Inhale, forward to plank. Exhale, up chaturanga. Elbows to the ribs. Lowering down. Inhaling. Bhujangasana. Exhaling. Lifting the hips up and back. Inhale. Reach that right leg up and back. Exhale, we're going to step that right leg forward. Finding a lunge. You want to grab your blocks here. In your lunge, you want that right knee over the right ankle. The sternum is free. The back leg is long. I'm going to be able to breathe here. So maybe the blocks help to free the sternum so you can breathe. And then just beginning to rock forward and back a little bit. Waking up the hips and the hamstrings. And then the next time that knee is over that ankle, gently lower down. On your way to a dragon lunge. So maybe the hands are resting on that forward thigh. And you're sinking the hips forward. You also have the arms up. Vinyasa. Just hanging out here a little bit. Relaxing the shoulders. Checking in with your breath. And on your next exhale, spin your way back down to your blocks. We're going to scooch that foot forward a little bit. Lift the toes. Bring that right hip back. Open the heart. And from the hips. Half monkey. Inhale, lengthening the spine. Exhale, hinging forward. Inhale, lengthen. And exhale, hinge. Inhale, coming back up. And let's hold that foot back to the ground. We're going to curl the back toes under. Just step that right foot back, coming back to downward facing dog. Breathing here. Inhale forward to plank. So drop the knees, elbows into the ribs, lowering to the belly. Bhujangasana. Going back to downward facing dog. Inhale that left leg up. We're going to bring it forward. Lowering that right knee. Find your blocks. Lifting that right leg back so it's long. Pressing the right heel to an imaginary wall. The front knee is over front ankle. You're using the blocks to help open up the sternum so you can breathe. And then maybe beginning to wiggle a little bit. Forward and back. And then the next time that left knee is over the left ankle, we'll slowly lower. That right knee to the ground. Bring in the hands maybe to that left thigh. Out here. Opening the heart. Maybe bring the hands up. Vinyasa. Sinking, lengthening, listening to the body. On your next exhale, bringing the hands back down to those blocks. Maybe scooching that left foot forward a smidge, lifting the toes. Taking the left hip back so the hips are over the right knee. Opening the heart. Hinging. Half monkey on this side. Inhale, lengthening. And exhale, hinging. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale. Come back to your lunge. And we're just going to step that left leg back to plank. Exhale, knees, elbows to the ribs. Fighting Bhujangasana. And exhale. Downward facing dog. Inhale, lift that right leg up and back. And the knee, opening up the hip. Just take a little bit of a hip circle with the knee. And then find stillness. We're going to slowly, mindfully bring that right knee forward. Setting up for a pigeon pose here. If this bothers your knee, you can always take this on your back in figure 4 variation. In the yin world, it's called swan. And one thing you can do with swan is you can just stay upright. Even using blocks here. Make sure that that back leg is going straight back and it's not sickling one way or the other. So it could be like a little back bend here or sleeping swan. Maybe using a block under the third eye. Breathing here. If you started in the sleeping variation, you realize you'd rather be upright. That's okay too. And again, if this is bothering your knee, you can always be on your back, that right ankle at the left knee. Pulling that right thigh in. Only if this doesn't feel good. Never want to do anything in yoga that causes pain. Listening to the teacher within. You might notice the longer that you're here in pigeon, the more it'll open up. Might find another edge. Maybe a little more deeper into it. And you're scanning the body for sensations and listening to the breath. And deepening the breath. Slowly coming up and out. Rolling those back toes under. Take that right leg back. Downward facing dog. Pedaling the feet. And you're going to lift that left leg up and back. Bend the knee. Open up the hip. Some circles. These are half circles. And then we're slowly going to bring that left leg forward. Setting up for pigeon on this side. Again, always take an upright swan if you'd rather. Using your blocks like little hand rests. You have a blanket underneath that right hip, under that left hip too. Opening up the heart. Breathing here. And if you started upright, you'd rather be in the sleeping variation, or if you started in the sleeping variation and you realize you'd rather be upright, you can switch back and forth if you like. You might find the longer you hold the pose, the more it opens up. slowly coming up. Then we're just going to shift over to the left hip. And bring the legs around forward. Now for our next pose of caterpillar. Caterpillar is just the yin version of Paschimottanasana. Starting in Dandasana. You might want to sit on the edge of a blanket to help tilt the pelvis forward. You can also take that blanket, roll it up just to get underneath the knees. And then you're just letting the spine droop forward. But if you find that your pelvis actually isn't tilting forward, tilting backwards, you can also take the legs up the wall instead of this pose. You can use a bolster here. Sort of hug in like a teddy bear. And just droop forward onto it. You might find you're melting all the way forward onto it too. We'll just be here for about 3 minutes. You can always readjust. You don't have to be a statue. You can start in one position with the props and readjust if it doesn't feel just right. And then begin to melt into the pose. See what you can relax. Begin to activate those deep connective tissues and energy channels. So listening to what's going on in the hamstrings and the hips and the back, shoulders. Seeing if you can let go of any tension that you don't necessarily need to hold on to. As you just droop forward, slowly melting. Does your body want to go further into it, or maybe it needs to slightly back off? Listening to what's going on in your body. Listening to the breath. Scanning the body for sensations. And deepening the breath. Slowly unfurling the spine. And back up to vertical, setting that bolster aside. Just taking a moment to feel the rebound of the posture. Lengthening the spine. Take a little gentle twist to one side. A little gentle twist to the other side. Coming back up. Removing the bolster or the blanket. And find our way onto our back. For banana asana. From here, we're going to reach the arms up over the head. And just take the hips to the left. And the feet, your feet to the right. Shoulders to the right. And then just breathe into that left side of the rib cage here. And then slowly coming back to the center. Lifting everything out for a moment and just listening to the reverb from the two posture, from that side of the posture. Before we take it to the other side. Just walking the hips to the right, walking the feet to the left, the shoulders to the left. You're breathing into that right side of the rib cage. And then go back to the center. And we're just gonna play with fish pose before we wind everything down to a happy baby and then Shavasana. The fish pose from back bend, just bringing the knuckles under the buttocks, coming up on the elbows, taking the top of the head to the back of the head. Breathing here, maybe crossing your eyes, maybe sticking out your tongue, maybe letting out a big lion's breath. Ah. Ah. Or letting go. And your way back down to the ground, flattening it all out. Drawing the knees in, either for another Apanasana, or maybe reaching your peace fingers to your toes. Happy baby. Rocking side to side. And when your baby's happy, lengthening the feet out. Finding Shavasana. You can always take that bolster under the knees. Link it under the knees again. You can cover up the body because temperature will drop. Maybe even lifting up the head, lengthening the neck, and lowering it back down. Palms face to the ceiling. Shoulders are relaxed. Heart is open. The feet are just flopping to the left and the right. Femur bones resting in the femur bone sockets, and the eyeballs resting in the eyeball sockets. Letting everything go. Seeing if you can relax every bit of your body into the mat. Starting with your toes, your ankles, your knees and hips. Releasing your lower back, middle back, and upper back. Relaxing your shoulders. Relaxing the muscles around your eyes and your forehead. As you melt into the mat. You don't have to get up from Shavasana. You could stay here for the rest of the morning if you want to. But if you do have to get back to your day, beginning to deepen the breath. Beginning to wiggle the fingers and toes and ankles and wrists. Dropping the head to the left, to the right. And then slowly walking the feet down. I'm just going to roll over to our favorite side. Could be the left, could be the right. Just hanging out in the fetal position. Seedling pose, pose of new beginnings. Taking a moment here to check in with how you're feeling now versus the beginning of class. And when you feel ready, again, no need to rush. You can hang out there for the rest of the morning too. Slowly finding your way up to an easy seated pose, Sukhasana. Maybe the eyes are still closed. Bring the palms of the hands together to Anjali Mudra at the heart center. Just take a deep conscious inhale through the nose. And deep exhale through the mouth. Fluttering the eyes open. Namaste. Thanks for coming to Slow Flow to Yin. I'm Stephen, and hope you have a wonderful Saturday or a wonderful whatever day it is that you're watching this. And I'll see you again soon. Well, thank you, Tranquility du Jour. All right.